I was the executive secretary of former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte for the period June 30, 2016 up to June 30, 2022. The decision on the West Philippine Sea dispute came out on July 12, barely 12 days after the Duterte administration assumed office. The status quo at the Ayungin Shoals, where BRP Sierra Madre, a dilapidated warship has served as a which has served as a Philippine military outpost in a low elevation reef since 1999, was in a 2013 commitment of former Defense Secretary Gasmin to the Chinese Ambassador Ma Keqing that he would only deliver food and water to the Marines stationed at the vessel. Former President Duterte and President Xi Jinping had 8 official meetings during the period October 2016 to August 2019. In all the 8 official meetings, he was always accompanied by his incumbent Foreign Affairs secretaries, namely the late Secretary Perfecto Yasay Jr., then Acting Secretary, now Secretary Enrique Manalo, Secretary, now Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, and Secretary, now Ambassador Teodoro Locsin Jr. In my capacity as Executive Secretary, I was able to attend 2 of the official meetings between former President Duterte and President Xi. First was the state visit of President Xi in the Philippines sometime in November 2018, and the second was on the official visit of President Duterte to China in August 2019. Secretary Locsin was present in all those meetings. Of these 2 official meetings I attended, no gentleman's agreement ever took place between former President Duterte and President Xi. President Duterte, being a lawyer, knew fully well that it was foolhardy to enter into an agreement, especially a gentleman's agreement at that, with the President of the People's Republic of China on matters involving sovereign rights. Thank you, Your Honor. I cannot elaborate with particularity on the status. That's what I gathered when the decision came out 12 days after we assumed office. I was just asking around, what's the present status at Ayungin Shoals? Because I know there was a vessel there. And the information I gathered was that there was a previous commitment that food and water will be allowed to be shipped to the dilapidated vessel since 2013 po.
Mr. Chair, yung pag-gather po natin information na ito, is this based on official records from Malacanang or is this recounted by long-time officials there?
I got that source from one of the officials before. I cannot recall. It was an off-the-cuff query when the decision was about to come out. Ano ba status diyan? That was it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So off-the-cuff query po, meaning this is an informal data gathering. But do we, Mr. Chair, may we ask the DFA if we have any records of any commitment in 2013? But I understand that there was a scrubbing of documents, and I would like to ask Mr. Chair, the DFA mentioned the last hearing yesterday that upon the records wala pong gentleman's agreement. But that would be, I would understand that that was confined to the period of the previous administration and in reference to a secret agreement. But is there any public agreement in 2013 in which the Philippine government committed not to bring food and water to BRP Sierra Madre?
Your Honor, I'm not aware of any.
Mr. Chair, maybe you request from the DFA to similarly do a legal scrubbing to really verify na wala po tayong commitment in 2013.
nawala.
Yeah, na may commitment or the
Oo.
existence or non-existence
Yes,
of the commitment, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Mr. Chair, so going back na po, if the good former executive secretary could relate to us, I know it was an off-the-cuff query, but may we know po yung details po ng 2013 commitment that he knows of po. You mentioned certain names, personalities.
No. That was what I recalled when the decision came out 12 days after we assumed office. I was just asking around because I was not really familiar with the West Philippine Sea situation. We were there for only 12 days. The decision came out 12 days after we assumed office. So I was just asking around, what's the exact status of this? And then I read in another column, GMA at ito, as far as I recall, there was a commitment by then Voltaire Garcia that Voltaire Gasmin that he promised the Chinese embassy that he will deliver only food and water to the Marines assigned at the vessel.
Mr. Chair, apologies. Back then, hindi pa po, this representation was not aware of the current events. Maybe no, ano po yung position ni Mr. Voltaire Garcin?
I think he was the Secretary of Defense during the time of President Aquino, Your Honor.
Wala pong gentleman, the testimony, the narration is, I suppose, showing na wala pong gentleman's agreement.
Wala, sir. Wala.
However po, we maintain the position of status quo. Supposedly na wala pong repair.
Wala, no repair whatsoever. But what was agreed upon, what was committed by the former Defense Secretary, that he will only deliver food and water to them. That was his word.
And that is all throughout 2016 to 2022 po. There was no repair.
I think that was the status from the time.
Mr. Chair, was there any talk with the previous administration on rescinding that agreement?
No, there was none. It was the call of the president, who is the chief architect, whether to respect that or not.
So, Mr. Chair, based on testimony, para lang to recap, there is a denial of the existence of a gentleman's agreement, but there is the affirmation of an existing agreement, which is not gentleman's agreement, no, it was in public.
Not entered into by our administration, but before, but the administration before us.
Yes, so it is the honoring of a commitment by the previous administration. Yun po yung status quo that was being referred to.
And I think President Duterte was of the position that we respect this first because this is a new one. In the same manner that when President Marcos came into office, he rescinded what was that arrangement all about? Agreement, which we do not even know up to now what it is.
Mr. Chair, so preliminarily, the president, understandably, as the chief architect of foreign policy, he has that call, previous administration. So initially, when he heard of the ruling, status quo po muna, he didn't know what it was. But all throughout from 2016 to 2022, hindi pa nalaman kung ano po yung commitment. But still, they maintained the same. Thank you,
We
Mr.
were
Chair.
towards a different direction at the time. How can we attain a good relationship with China? No, even with the decision at hand. It was something that the former president was saying. I have this decision now. I can carry it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.